do objects have a soul? Do they carry energy? Why do we choose one thing over another? Is it because of the color and the fit, or is it because the energy behind it? The soul is, one definition is the immaterial essence, animating principle, or spiritual core of an individual human being. So I think we can all agree that we all have a soul, or not, maybe we can't all agree, but there's this concept of the soul being the immaterial aspect of a human.
Right.
The energy, the ethereal,
the motor behind the meat suit.
Right, the higher self, the motor behind the meat suit. Hi, everybody. My name is Peyton.
I'm Leah.
And welcome to Beyond the Scene, where we discuss frequency and alignment through the lens of
fashion,
music,
and art.
And a little bit of woo-woo.
A lot of woo-woo.
We're so happy to have you guys with us today. And our mission really is to change the world by just showing up as ourselves. And we feel like we are creative rebels. And if you would like to join our creative rebel world-changing mission, we would love for you to subscribe to our podcast. We can be found at Beyond the Scene Podcast, and Scene is spelled S-E-E-N, across all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube,
you name
all
it.
Your listening stuff on all the fancy apps.
Yep.
But yeah, come follow us.
Come join us.
Come join us. Come be a creative rebel.
Yeah.
All right.
We ride at dawn.
We ride at dawn. Let's fucking go. All right. Leah, what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about vintage souls. And that kind of encompasses fashion, art, music, of course, but what it means to... I think what we wanted to explore was how a vintage piece or an old item, does it carry a memory?
Yeah.
Is it something, because we put these things on our bodies and we purchase these things that are old for what reason?
Right.
What's the difference between an old item and a new item?
It's interesting because when we first discussed this topic, particularly, it was like a month ago, and you had all these notes and you said vintage soul, and the next line was vintage versus fast fashion.
Yes.
So that we'll definitely talk about that today. But I think since we've been in the energy of this podcast, the concept of vintage soul has, in my mind at least, expanded about what that could really mean.
I would love to hear your thoughts on it, because I keep it pretty, squared into fashion and music and art, but I would love to hear what you have to say about it.
I think one thing, obviously, like being a psychic medium, in addition to like some other things, being like really into the woo-woo. Like it's one of my things that I love to talk about.
What I love about you.
Oh, thank you. And you've got it too. We all do.
The two mediums.
The two mediums. But I think the soul aspect of it, and then this concept of do objects have a soul? Do they carry energy? Why do we choose one thing over another? Is it because of the color and the fit, or is it because the energy behind it? To me, that's really fascinating. And so when I was kind of like preparing for this episode, I thought, well, what is this? Let's start with the definition, right? Like, what's the definition of soul? So Mr. Google says that the soul is, one definition is the immaterial essence, animating principle, or spiritual core of an individual human being. So I think we can all agree that we all have a soul, or not, maybe we can't all agree, but there's this concept of the soul being the immaterial aspect of a human.
Right.
The energy, the ethereal,
the motor behind the meat suit.
Right, the higher self, the motor behind the meat suit. Right, where the meat suit's the material, the soul is the immaterial, the animating principle, right? And without the soul, the meat suit can't exist. But my question is,
I've met a few people, to be honest, that operate the meat suit without a soul.
I think, yeah.
But that's for another episode.
That's a totally different episode. I agree. But I think, so how can that extend then when we're talking about vintage soul? We could be talking about old souls, like people that you meet that you feel like they've been around, a couple thousand lifetimes.
Those, yeah.
But then does that also extend to a piece of art? Does it extend to a song, music? Does it extend to a piece of clothing or a favorite piece of jewelry or,
I think all of those things carry some form of energy.
Yeah.
So I will be inclined to pick up something. And again, I shop for the sake of shopping. Like, I freaking love to shop. Ask anybody, especially my husband. But I believe, like, I can look through things and immediately when I touch them or feel them, I have some kind of visceral reaction to it. So I will pick something up and I will be like, ooh, this feels good. Or I can work with this. Even if it's fast fashion, I'll pick it up and I'll be like, okay, it's not giving me the ick.
When's the last time that you picked up something and you were like, ooh, this feels good? And then also, like, when was the last time that you picked up something you were like, you felt the ick?
So I do a lot of online shopping too for some of my clients. So I'll pick something up because it's quick and easy and affordable. And so I picked something up for them, and the minute that it came in, opened the bag, and it was like, whew, I didn't even have to touch it. And I knew, I said, oh God, you're going straight back to where you came from. And I don't know what that is, like if it's an intuition, if it's something that I notice or don't notice, but it viscerally gives me the ick.
Do you feel like it was icky because you knew it wouldn't be a match for your client, or it was the thing?
I wonder. That's a great question. I don't, because I do have those reactions as well where I'm like, oh, I thought it would be good, but it's not going to work for them.
Right.
And I do have that too, where I'm like, this is just not going to work. And funny enough, I'll actually take it to my client and be like, this is something I thought, but no, and she'll say, well, let's just try it on. And she puts it on and it's a whole other outfit. It doesn't even look like the same thing I pulled out of the bag. And I'm like, okay, surprise. I'm not, so sometimes that does happen.
Yeah.
And it's just such a weird concept. And that's why I wanted to explore this, is like, what is that? What is that makes something fit Peyton, won't fit me? I love it. You don't. What's the connection there?
And outside of, like, obviously we could go on to like different body types and shapes, and you can go on to like color theory and are you a summer or winter or an autumn? You can go into all those things about why does this color look good on you.
I don't believe in color theory though.
Yeah. Well,
as a stylist, I don't believe in color theory.
Well, but you could go down that path.
I for sure could.
I mean,
that was my personal.
Right, yeah. So aside from like the color, the fit, what is it about? And you spoke in one of our last episodes, I can't remember which one, about how it makes somebody feel.
That's what I base everything on.
And the energy of, it might not look good in the bag, or it wasn't what you thought in the bag, but you put it on her and she feels a certain way, and then all of a sudden
changes
that emotion, changes everything.
It almost morphs the way it looks.
Including the piece itself.
Yes.
And then does that energy stay with the piece when she takes it off?
Right.
So in the shamanic perspective, everything is alive. The rock has an energy and it's alive.
I believe this.
This chest of drawers or TV console, or whatever this is alive and has an energy to it and has a soul, from the shamanic perspective, including humans, animals, and everything.
Inanimate objects,
all have an energy and a soul. And then does that make you treat things differently? Because again, I'm learning all this stuff from you. Honestly, if I were coming from a very enlightened place, I would be like, of course, I treat everything with respect. But like, no, of course not.
Because I'll throw some clothes away.
I mean, no matter how elevated I like to think I am or I aspire to be, like, I'm still human. Like I take care of my things now more than I did when I was younger, and I have a lot of buyer's remorse and guilt, but I think that's
one of my questions.
That's an old belief, but I do, I've also had times in my life where I have had very little resources with which to purchase even basic things. And so I really appreciate, when I do have money, I try to, remember, let's just only buy the things that really bring you joy,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but I think it's interesting, going back to this concept of vintage soul, so one of your questions was, you've worked with a lot of different kinds of musicians over your life, big arena stage musicians, small indie artists. And one of the things that you'd mentioned is they are attracted to and really interested in buying vintage guitars, vintage instruments, and so what is it about that piece that old guitar that somebody famous or somebody else had that's been played and used by somebody else. Like, why do we buy those things?
I feel like, and again, this is just my opinion, but I believe that they're trying to tap into something that was there. So-and-so had this guitar, they wrote this magical piece of music. Maybe they feel like they can tap into that magic that's sitting in this instrument.
That's a different reason to buy it.
Different reason to buy it. I don't know if that transfers to clothing, because you and I both know a lot of vintage curators of old clothing. And we had a bit of a conversation about it this morning, but like, there could be a postman's shirt, right, from the 50s. The man paid 35 cents for it. And we're out here paying $2,500 for this ratty old t-shirt that this man worked in. Why?
Right.
Why does this happen?
Right.
And that's kind of where this episode, where I was like, do we all feel the same way? Are we all kind of like, we all agreed that this is worth more because somebody in the 50s wore it, or 50 years ago wore it, or 100 years ago? We have museums dedicated to these things, where we hold these things in little glass boxes because we want to, feel it? Look at it. Like, why are we doing this? So that, to me, and maybe it's a question that will never be answered, but I just thought you and I could have a conversation about it, because in the art world, I have this question for you because you're an artist. When I see a photo of a piece of artwork, let's just say, for instance, on your website, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty. And I'm scrolling, and that's pretty. Right. And when I sit in your studio and I see the piece of art with my eyes, I feel something different. Why is that?
Yeah, why that's a really great question.
Will we ever get the answer?
Yeah.
Or do we just sit in this?
Yeah.
Did I ask too big of a question? Like, and maybe one of our audience members can tell us. Like,
well, and the biggest question,
that same experience.
The bigger question is, does digital media kill the art? Right? Like,
does it take the soul out of it?
Does it take the soul out of it? That's a really great question. I haven't always been an artist. I didn't start. I mean, I have, but I haven't. So I didn't formally start painting until 2020, August of 2020. And then I feel
it was in you the whole time, girl.
Oh yeah, it was.
It's
beautiful. As a kid, I was like,
that's
the whole time during COVID, I was like, well, what did I used to do that brought me joy? Maybe after all this time on my hands, I could start doing that again. And I went back to when I was a kid and thought, oh, it was art. I love me. So I took an online art class, and here we are. But I feel like I've tried a lot of different kinds of art. I've done abstracts, I've done landscapes, I've done portraits, are kind of my thing. I've had this whole collection of alien art that was really, truly divinely channeled. Like, I think that's probably the most authentic thing that I've ever made. But here again, like, I go back and forth with am I making art? And we talked about this with you making fashion items. Am I making something that is making a difference in the world? Am I making something that has a soul, right? Is this art?
Are you making it just for the sake of making it?
Or am I making it just for this? And I've done both, right? And so
I think we all have.
Yeah, I've done both. And so why does something look different when you're standing in front of it than something online? I don't know. I
have a theory about it too that I just want to run by you.
I'd love to hear that.
So I think that whatever that is, we, our personal selves, put the attachment on that. We put the energy on that thing. So I could have a bag, for instance. I have a bag fetish. I have a shoe fetish. I have a hat fetish.
I have a shoe fetish.
You do. Which, look, we're going to sell these feet right now. Anybody, get the takers. Let's go. We're selling Peyton's feet pics. But I think that we attach the feeling to the thing. So I can buy something and I'm like, I love this. This is my sacred little frog, or whatever it is. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. This is mine now, and it's very special to me for no other reason than it's special to me. Right? So then I die. Let's just say I die. My kids know that this thing was very special to me. So now they take it and they're just compounding this energy onto this thing. Right? Then eventually it ends up in a thrift store. All that energy is still sitting on this thing though, right? Is that where this comes from?
Boy, do I have a story for you on that one.
Okay.
On energy.
Do we have time?
That sits on things. Yeah. So first of all, going back to frequency, I think if you are taking the shamanic perspective and that everything has energy and everything is alive, that means everything has a frequency associated with it.
And we talked about that in our first episode.
We did. And so why did you fall in love with that one particular handbag? Well, it resonated with its frequency, resonated with some sort of frequency within you.
So I put the importance on it, though, correct?
Well, maybe. Yes. And like, were you attracted to it in the first place? What was it about that particular item that why were you attracted to the people that you've been attracted to in your life? There was some sort of matching energy. If we're looking at it from an energetic frequency perspective, that you resonated with that. There was something inside of you that amplified or grew or felt something different because of that particular item, whether it was a painting or a handbag or another person.
I have another question to this. Can you appreciate it even though it doesn't resonate with you?
I think so.
Or do we have to be critics about it?
I think so, but I will say that comes from the brain.
Okay.
Right?
So that's logical.
So for me, I can say I don't like that piece of art. It doesn't resonate with me. I don't get good, warm and fuzzy feelings from it. I don't feel drawn to it.
Yep.
But as an artist who creates art, I can look at it and say and appreciate what it took to make the art.
What about mass-produced items? Give me your home goods best.
I'm going to break the fourth wall for this one.
We're doing it? We're breaking the fourth wall.
I think they have a place. I have had this love-hate relationship with offering prints, digital prints of my artwork. I think I had one piece of art that I created. It was called The Roar, and it was a lion, and the lion was roaring, and there was this little girl standing next to him, and her hands were in fists, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs with a big smile on her face. It was an awesome painting, and I offered prints of that, and that is the one painting that I've done where people have wanted to scoop up the prints. There's something in that resonated with people.
Right.
And so for that particular painting, offering a print was great because now there are however many people out there that have the energy of that painting in the print form. Yeah. Mass-produced stuff, I don't know how to answer that question. I have been unable to purchase original art, and going to Target and finding something I really love that I know now from the back end that an artist actually made that, and an artist then sold their design to Target, and they're benefiting from that.
This is the point. It all comes right down to the same thing. Could possibly, I'm not saying it always does, but that it comes back down to like somebody still made it.
Right.
So at what point did it lose its soul?
Right. And who's to say like that particular print in Target, which I have had some that I absolutely adored, and I'm like, this is perfect for this place in my house. I love it. Made that person really happy and helped them feel more comfortable and vibrant in their own space. And so why take away from that just because it's mass produced?
Well, and here's the funny thing. So back in the day, you and I grew up in the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. Every grandma, every mom had Pyrex, right? And the shit was like everywhere, and it was cheap as shit. Like you could buy it anywhere, right? Kmart.
Right.
Now, these ladies are out here collecting this stuff like it's bougie, and they're charging like $700 for a goddamn mixing bowl. And I don't understand this concept, and I don't know how we got here. And that's where I have a small issue with it. I just like, at what point did we all decide that was okay?
Well, so you got to think, so we've talked about the frequency of different kinds of art and how people resonate toward or feel drawn towards something. Maybe it's an energetic frequency match between the person and the object. Now we're on, okay, well, why are old vintage items, be it Pyrex or
nostalgia,
these vintage, army pants that I'm wearing, why are we gravitated towards that? Well, it's the story. It has to be, it could be the energy, but the story is important, And also it's like, maybe that brings people great memories from,
I think it's nostalgic.
From childhood, and it's nostalgia. What is nostalgia? Looking back in the past with fondness,
Yeah.
And wanting, maybe being unhappy with a certain aspect of your life that you may or may not be aware of in this moment. And then thinking, well, when was the last time? And then you see something that marks a time when you were happy and joyful, and then you want to bring that to your home.
That's what I want.
Right? Now, people making money off of it, I could have gone online and bought a pair of army pants for a lot less than I paid for these pants, but I know the woman who made them.
So there's the story.
There's a story behind it.
That's my other thing. One of my questions is does it have a soul, or are we being sold an item?
Or both.
Or both. But I believe this for sure. I also feel like, you know what, in 100 years, the shit we're wearing right now is going to be vintage in a thrift store, and somebody's going to be paying like $7,000 for my boots. Right. That are freaking Steve
or maybe in 10 months it's going to be like, oh my God, those are Leah's boots. She does that amazing podcast.
Yeah, but I just, like I said, I found, that's why I wanted to do the podcast. And especially with someone where we have like diverse backgrounds. You and I kind of come from two different spaces completely. Yeah. And to like explore these topics where I know this is going to resonate with people because I know they have the same questions as us.
Yeah.
And how does it feel? What does it look like? Energy, authenticity, truth, that's a big one for us.
Right.
And what makes it true? We all agreed that this was the truth, right?
Yeah. And also, like, I think that, yes to all those things. And I think I'm always going to come back to one of the things I love about what we're doing here is that we're just getting really curious and asking questions. And I think one thing I hope that people can take away from this is that they can get curious and ask questions on their own.
Right.
And so when you're standing there getting ready, because we're talking about consumption, we're talking about purchasing things.
And I'm so guilty of that. Yeah.
Collecting things, bringing things into our lives, bringing the outside in any kind of material form. Can you be more mindful about your consumption? And
we need to be more mindful. I believe that.
I agree. And then how can you really get in tune with yourself and your own vibration and your own alignment to be able to look around and say, you know what, like, that's an expensive pair of pants, but I really love those, and I know that they will bring me joy and make me happy, and so I'm going to purchase those because I know that, versus like going on one of these fast fashion websites where you're going to get an outfit for a weekend and then it's going to go in the dumpster and end up in a landfill.
We had a brief conversation about that this morning as well, about all these landfills. Like, they're just taking all these clothes, right, and they're ending up in landfills, and there's just massive amounts of just discarded clothing. And how maybe, like I said, we're here to change things, at least open people's minds and try to get them thinking. But maybe those clothes can be used for something good, opposed to just being tossed in the garbage.
Or maybe we don't need tossing things.
We don't need to be supporting those companies that do that. Yeah.
I think, on the microscopic view, when you're just coming into yourself, like, what is this thing that I'm about ready to purchase or consume? Is it in alignment, and do I need this? And, all the mental things that you go through, but then really dive into your heart. Like, is this something to bring into my life? Is the energy what I want? All this kind of stuff. And then you can expand out and think, okay, on the macroscopic level, like, is this just going to end up in a landfill when I'm finished with it, because either it doesn't fit anymore or because the style has changed or whatever?
Fell apart in the wash.
What can I do with it now? Can I repurpose it? Yeah. I've been doing a lot of Goodwill shopping lately, and
freaking love a Goodwill.
And I love it because even if, one of the things that I mean, this is going to, maybe for you as a fashion stylist, is going to seem insignificant, but for me, like, the moment I realized that I can just cut sleeves off to make it fit me better without even having to use a sewing machine, I was like, all of a sudden, the world opened up, right? I'm like, the next episode, I'm going to wear this shirt that I liked the design on it. I didn't like the fit, cut the sleeves off. I love it now, so.
And that's something that people can do. And I think that's what I want to do, is teach people, maybe you don't like this certain cut or certain thing about an outfit. Here's how you can change it. You can make it look cool. You can add a little bit of an accessory. Boom, you have an entire new outfit. You have a whole vibe now.
Right.
So.
And it's fun. I think that it's what I've learned from, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention.
For sure.
Right? So when you need to create something on your own, either because you don't have the resources, you don't have the money, or you live in a small town,
That's
or they
why
don't
I
make
started
it,
doing it.
or they don't make it. So then you learn, because you need it, you learn to do it on your own, and then that gives you an empowered feeling, and then you're like, oh my God, the whole world opens up.
I have one more question for you. Do you think that, and this is just like another spin on it, but do you think that buying thrifted, like, it's become such a virtue signal? Like, oh, I bought this thrifted, so I'm better than you because I got this at the secondhand. Like, I don't like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to judge people based on where they purchase their anything.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, is it benefiting you, and are you putting intention in it? And maybe that's all you can afford. Maybe it's not. Like, I'm so tired of people comparing like labels versus thrifted versus, and we have this need to tell people where we got the thing.
Well, that's ego.
Right?
So that's all that is,
Yeah.
And
so it doesn't make it better, is my point.
It doesn't make it better. I think whenever you're getting in a place of judgment, this is good, this is bad, this is worse than, this is better than, whatever the judgment is, you're in ego. And
Can
that's
ego
okay.
exist at the same time as intention?
That's a great question. And I think ego always exists. I think we just become aware of it and we learn to manage it. Without ego, ego is born so that we can keep ourselves safe.
Survival.
Because in my mind, in my worldview, there's ego and then there's spirit. So there's your ego and then there's your higher self, right? And the two of them are working together as you walk through this lifetime as Leah or as Peyton. And is the ego in the driver's seat driving your meat suit, or is your higher self in the driver's seat, right? And
that'll make your decisions different.
Your higher self is coming from a place of, everything is love, everything is fine. When you die, you're going back to the oneness of everything, and you can drive off of a cliff in your car. You can Thelma and Louise yourself off a cliff, and the divine spirit's like, okay, cool, we'll just come back in the next life. Ego's there to keep you safe, right? It's like, hey, maybe we should
not do that.
Press the brakes here.
Yeah.
I don't think as humans, and maybe Jesus, Buddha, or some of the really super enlightened ones completely shed their ego, but I think for the average everyday people on their journey, ego is always present. Now, is it driving and making your decisions? So if you're getting into a place of thrifted is better than this, and you're making a judgment call, to me, that's ego's in the driver's seat, because you're putting yourself, you're othering.
But
something.
what if you're questioning it as, is this better for the environment?
Well,
then it becomes not ego.
Well, I think that it could be ego. Mm-hmm. If you're like saying, I made this choice because it's better for the environment, and you made a choice that was bad for the environment, therefore you're
bad and I'm good.
And I'm good.
And I'm also going to record it and put it on the internet and tell everybody about it. I love when that happens. Like, look at me, I'm doing something good. Hey, everybody.
You broke the foot. Sorry, Pete. We keep breaking the fourth wall.
We got to make our point to these people sometimes.
But this is a great discussion, because we're talking about, again, when we first started talking about this particular episode, it was like vintage versus fast fashion. Let's get into a discussion about, what's better and what's worse. And I do think there are consequences to both.
Right.
And I think I'm always going to come back to, are you making the decision from a place of alignment, and are you making the decision from a place of misalignment?
Right.
And
are you ever influenced online, just social media, like just get you and hold on, and you're like, God, I got to get that because so-and-so's wearing it? Or because I feel like that's part of it too. Sometimes we like things because other people like them.
Yes. And also I used to be that way a lot more, but I've done a lot of work on myself. And I've learned to say, well, just because, like, we just sat here before the camera started rolling, I'm like, I love that jacket.
Yeah.
Where did you get it? I have to get that jacket.
See, right? I feel like on that level, it's okay. When it's like, I am impressed with those pants, that they're beautiful and they fit you great, and I want those too. But I'm talking like mass level, like these girls that are on TikTok.
So you're talking like influencer level.
Influencer level, where it's like, that is crap. And why do you want me to buy it? And they are heavily influencing it, and then everybody has it, which is fine. But do I sit in judgment on it? Hell fucking yeah, I do. Like, I'm sorry, but I do. So where do we, I guess I'm just kind of like in this search, and especially when it comes to fashion.
Yeah.
Like, where is it that we just draw the line and go, okay, that's wrong, this is right? And is that even the point?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm always, again, I have definitely and still to this day go down the path of that's wrong, this is right. I'm also aware now that when I go down that path, I'm pretty stuck in my ego, and if I can just give it a breath and realize, I really do think that everybody's doing the best they can with what they have. I think that
we're just barely hanging on out here by a thread right now.
But is that true?
Point. I don't know.
Is that true?
I feel good. I'm not going to lie. Like, I know there's a lot of shit going on, but I still find joy every single day in little things.
Okay, so can you buy a piece of clothing and have it bring you joy?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, so what's wrong with that?
Nothing. I think this is the point of the episode. Like, I wanted to get to this, like, turn back around and go, like, does it matter? Are we just here and just like, let's just find joy in things?
I do think that it matters. I think, so your question was, can ego and intention exist at the same time?
Right.
Well, if we're on the supposition that you never really truly get rid of your ego, unless you're Jesus or Buddha, which we are not yet. We're not. Then ego's always there.
Right.
But I try to do everything with intention.
Yeah.
And so maybe
I've just started doing this. Like, in very hyper focused on it.
Well, I'm interested. So here's what's coming in for me now. I'm interested to know, because what I know about you and your current business, you have one client, Emily Ann.
Yep.
And she is kind of blowing up in a big way. And
huge.
And so you are in this place of, this is my perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, where you are wanting to create unique original pieces for her, but you're also like, I also need to produce this massively. So I don't want to call that mass production, but you are having to churn and churn and churn and churn and churn. So how is that showing this whole concept of how does every piece have intention? How can I also work quickly and get this done? How can I be,
Sometimes it's very basic. I don't feel like I'm ever going to run out of the creativity part of it. Like, I'm always coming up with new or fun, different ideas to wear a piece of clothing. And it could be the exact same piece of clothing. It's just, let's style it differently, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of changes the aspect or the energy around the outfit. I can make it like very elevated, and she could be in this where she's not moving around a lot, or I can make it funner. But I feel like there is an opportunity I have to buy things on a fast paced. Sometimes they're thrifted. Sometimes like it becomes that machine, right? Where I'm just creating outfits that are and then there's some that are totally intentional. Like, these are specific and I spend more time on them. So without, it's everything. It's all of it, all at one time.
What you
it's
just
everything.
described is like in the scope of just this one client.
Yes.
You are hitting all of the things
all
we're just talking. You've got very intentional, authentic, one of a kind, unique, well-made pieces. And you've also been like, I'm buying this on Amazon and I'm going to add some fringe to it and call it a day.
Yep.
Because I just need something quick and fast.
Yes. And
so then
I also believe that, like we talked about earlier in the episode, she can wear something that is from Amazon or that is fast fashion, and Emily changes it because her energy changes it. So who she is and how she performs changes the actual vibe of this fit. So people will text me or they'll comment on they'll come into my DMs and say, oh my God, where did you get this? What, And it's like, girl, it ain't gonna look the same on you. And that's just honesty. Like, it's just not.
Right.
Because what Emily Ann has, what I have, what you have, it's all different.
Right.
I put different, like those pants, I love them. Can I get them and put them on? Yeah, they're going to look different on me.
So what would you say to that person who DM'd you, where can I get this dress?
Well, I tell them, I'm not a gatekeeper, but
but what would you say, like, if you were like,
trying to style them?
Yeah, maybe not trying to style them, or like, what would your advice for them be? If you know that that the answer is this isn't going to look good on you.
Yeah.
You're not going to say, I would think you wouldn't say that.
I won't say that unless they say, "How do you think this is going to look on me?"
But
then I would be honest.
But if you know that and that's what you're thinking, but you don't want to say that, and you want to leave them empowered.
Yeah, I do.
Then what would your advice be?
I would say, try it on, and how does it make you feel? And honest to God, if she's like, I love this and it makes me feel amazing, girl, go work it. Go down, work it. And it could be, in my opinion, not the best fit for somebody, but if they feel beautiful and their energy is just vibing with this thing and they're like, go and do it. So I think at the bottom, like, pulling this all back together, like, how does it make you feel? Does it matter?
A feeling is a frequency.
A feeling is a frequency. I think a story is a frequency. I think we want to connect with those stories. That's
why is a story a frequency? Because it makes you feel something.
It's feeling. It's emotional.
It's a feeling.
Yeah. And I feel like we want to feel connected.
Right.
We want to feel connected to something.
Right.
So that's why we buy these old things, and that's why we dress in the new things. And, we could sit here for 16 hours and talk about this, but I feel like that's the point. I have one last question for you. If your house was burning down, which item would you take?
Herman.
I don't know who that is.
And I knew that question was coming, and I had a different answer prepared. Okay. And you asked it just now, and I said Herman. So Herman is, and I can take a picture of Herman and post him on Instagram or whatever. So when I was 9, my parents decided they wanted to go to Vevey, Indiana, to an antique store that a sister of one of their best friends owned. And so we went to Vevey, Indiana. We went to this antique store, and we actually spent the night there because my parents knew, the woman who owned it. First of all, the place was haunted AF, right? And so I did not sleep. As a 9-year-old, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, but I don't want to go upstairs. I know that much, so there was that. But when we were leaving, there was this little stuffed animal. It looked like a little man, but he was made out of a sock. The whole thing was made out of a sock. And he had straw that somebody had sewn on for hair, and he had little button eyes, and he just looked so melancholy, and he was sitting on the mantle, and I fell absolutely 100% in love with him.
Wow.
And I sat there and I stared at him, and I'm like, I have to have that. And I asked my parents, they said, no, we're not getting him. And
Herman was for sale. So this is
Herman was for sale.
Okay.
And I don't even know the backstory behind Herman, but he was sitting there on the mantle of this old antique shop on the first floor. And she saw how much I loved him, and she gave him to me.
Do you think you loved him because you're such a nurturer and he looks sad?
I don't know, but I still have Herman. Mm-hmm. Herman went with me to college. Herman's in my studio.
Wow.
Herman has lost all of his hair, and he's missing. He's got a few, patches missing. But honestly, Herman means more to me than just about, obviously other than the dogs and Pete,
right.
Like as far as material things that aren't, human or animal.
That is so very interesting.
I would grab Herman and take Herman. Like he, even more so than the letters from my dad. My dad's been gone for, it'll be 23 years coming up in August. And I have some letters from him that are very deeply meaningful to me. But Herman is the one thing that you ask the question, and I'm like, Herman.
That's crazy.
Herman.
A little doll.
So what is it about Herman? Like, I have no idea.
Humans are weird.
I have no idea, but I got him when it was like as a child, I knew that there was something special about that.
Maybe Herman is enchanted.
Maybe, I don't know, but I just, yeah.
That's cool.
What about you? What would be the one thing that you would take?
I would burn in the house. I'm sorry. Take me.
You'd be like that episode of Schitt's Creek where Moira Rose is like having to go get all of her
I am Moira Rose with the wigs. Like, I will die here with these things. That's my answer.
Okay. I want to push you on it, but also I'm just going to leave you there. I'm just going to leave you there.
I have too many things that I'm attached to in this world.
I think that, when it comes to like purchasing things and consuming, I think what I have really tried to do, and what I would encourage other people to do, is to really look for the connection that you have. I think the story with Herman,
we have to get there.
For me, it's like I really feel like connection, individual human connection. Mm-hmm. I feel like really being mindful about, are we using this purchase to soothe something, or are we using it to make our lives?
Well, also you're making a statement, people. Like, just let's be honest. People are going to look at you and what you're wearing, and immediately they're going to make a judgment on you. So keep that in mind as well. Like when you're out wearing whatever it is. And I make sure that I wear something that makes a statement, because I feel like I want to, and I always have.
But that's important to you.
It's important to me. I want to make a statement. I want people to go, oh, what did she just, she's wearing, when I was in my little punk rock goth, I went through so many phases of different iterations of myself, and I had punk rock, so I wore fuck off, go fuck your mom. It was horrible stuff, but I wanted to get a reaction out of people. I wanted people to stop and go, wow, okay, woo, and I feel like that is what clothes do. Right.
So how are you different now than you were then? Because you're still choosing pieces that make a statement.
Right.
But it's got a different energy to it.
I don't want to repel people anymore.
Okay.
For a long time, I wanted to make people feel uncomfortable because people made me feel uncomfortable. So I was trying to make that statement to the world. Like, I felt uncomfortable for my youth. Now I want you to feel uncomfortable, because I had no control over that. So I feel like that. And now I still love a good shirt that says fuck off. Like, I really do. But now I feel like I want to be less repellent to people and more welcoming and encompassing. And I just, it's a softer view on still being kind of individual. And
is there a difference within you other than, so what you described is like, I used to not want to talk to people and now I want to welcome people in, but those are two external things that you're searching for, right? When you choosing things to wear to make a statement, it used to be, I'm pushing people away out here.
Yep.
Now it's, I want people to feel welcome out here.
Yeah.
What's happening inside?
yeah, I healed.
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like I'm such a more well-rounded person inside. My soul is much lighter. I was full of fire and rage, and it's still there. Like, don't get me wrong.
No.
I know. I'll scorch earth still to this day. But I mean, I also feel very like I want to make a difference and make people feel beautiful and feel and you know, welcome people. What is this word that I'm looking for right here?
Embrace.
I do. I want to embrace people. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to welcome people, and I just said that like 6 times, but you get the point.
Yeah.
It's a completely different vibe.
You feel confident and comfortable in your own skin now.
Yeah.
And you want to extend that same peace and grace to other people and help them feel comfortable and confident in their skin with the clothes that they're wearing.
Yeah.
I mean,
period.
You know, you said to me the other night, or was it last night? I don't remember days. What are days anymore? What is time? But you had said, you know, like what am I doing? Like, because you and I are both intuitive in different ways, but very intuitive. And you're like, I want to use but what is fashion doing to make the world better?
Yeah.
I think you just answered that question.
I think I did. Thanks, Peyton, for pointing that out.
Did you know this is going to be a therapy session?
I hope it's a therapy session for everybody. I feel like this is good.
I think that's it. I mean, I have also spent a lot of time. It's looked very different, maybe on the surface, as your journey. But I've spent a lot of time just like, you know, just like wanting to, in my own way, rebel, you know, against my outside world.
Yep.
And it hasn't maybe shown up in the clothes that I've been wearing, but maybe in the choices that I made, or the things that I've said, or the art that I've made. Yeah, no.
That little lion girl?
I know the lion girl's great. I think, you know, but to finish my thought, I think, you know, I've spent a lot of time just working against and arm wrestling into a way of being. And now, after having done all that and learned, you know, from all of those experiences, I feel very centered.
Yeah.
And very peaceful, and now I feel like I can express that out. And so how can I can't remember if I said this in the last episodes, one of the last episodes or not, but I almost like left art last year because I couldn't figure out a way to do it that also felt good for me. You know, the going into galleries is a way that a lot of people make money on art. It didn't feel good to me. Doing all these other things of how artists make a living, I had tried that and it didn't feel good.
Right.
So, but what I came to was what feels good to me is being of service to other people and being in collaboration with other people. So I really love doing commissions because I get to talk to other people. I get to I'm really good at intuiting the unsaid feelings. Like that people will say, and you think you probably do this with fashion. I'm really good at, you're going to sit here and tell me what you want. But while you're talking to me, I'm seeing everything that's happening that you're not saying. Right. I do that a lot with fashion. I'm downloading it, pulling in whatever, and then I'll get it as ideas and I'll say, well, what if we did this? And all of a sudden people feel seen because you're pulling something out of the ethers that they didn't say, or maybe they didn't even know, but you're able to, and then I just turn it into a piece of artwork and then they get it. And then they're like, didn't know. It's connection, and it's helping people feel seen, helping people feel. Yeah. And also, I think when we can connect to the spiritual aspect of our human selves, it feels like you're touching magic.
It is.
it really feels like you're touching magic, and people
It's
get a little
electric.
sparkle in their eye.
It does.
And that makes a big difference.
Yeah. And again, back to, both our mediums are different, but to the fashion, I can see it. I can feel it on them when they put something on and it does something to them.
We talked at the beginning about why do musicians buy a vintage guitar, and one of your possibilities was that they're looking to recreate what the original owner of that guitar, I bought Johnny Cash's guitar because he wrote, Ring of Fire or with this guitar, and I want to also write a hit, so I'm going to play his guitar so I can write a hit, right? Or so that's one reason to buy, to maybe ride the energy of someone that came before you, or it could be because you deeply honor the work that was done on that guitar.
True.
And,
True.
Who knows,
You don't.
It doesn't matter.
Excuse me.
Everybody has their reasons, I think I really do want to, my one thing is if I can bring people back to, especially as a medium, I'm like, you don't need me, you can do this on your own. And I can give you all the advice in the world. You can give people all the fashion advice and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, can you get in touch with yourself enough to know how to honor yourself and how to make yourself feel good and seen in the way that you want to be shown
I think
up
you
in the
can.
world.
Like I said, sometimes I'll be styling and they'll be like, it'll start clicking for them and they're like, oh yeah, this looks good on me. Okay, I've worn this before. And they'll start doing it themselves. But at the end of the day, they still want to connect with you.
Yeah.
It's the connection. They could do it on their own. I could do a lot of things on my own, but I could do this podcast. You could do this podcast on your own, but you and I connect. And in that connection, there's magic. And that is kind of the whole sum of everything.
It's so good.
It's so good. Let's just bask in it.
Do you have any other questions around vintage soul?
No, I think we covered everything very eloquently as we do. So you're welcome. And I think on our next episode is going to be we're getting into some deep stuff.
Yeah.
I do want to keep it lighthearted, but I think we cover some deep subjects very well.
Well, I think, it's the yes and, you have to, both things happen, right?
Both things can be right.
Both things can be true. And I was watching, it was a podcast. It's a guy named Vinnie Tolman who had a near-death experience, and he came back to tell about it. And as part of his near-death experience, he was told by his guides all these truths of life. And one of the truths is, why does evil exist? So taking the word evil out, why does the shadow side exist? Why do we have these lower vibrations? And if you consider this lifetime, this experience, a place where we come and grow, and evolve as humans and as souls, why do we have these dark times?
Right.
Because they serve as contrast for the light, right? I can't do a painting in all one. I could, but it wouldn't look great. I need to have the light and the dark to make have the contrast, right?
Contrast, yeah.
So both things are important, both things are important.
Absolutely.
So all that is to say, our next episode is we were going to call it the Dark Night of the Soul.
But we're not calling it.
We're going to call it, after we talk to Pete, we're going to call it the Dark Night of the Human.
The human, because the soul is different.
The soul is different
than the human.
That's right.
Look at little tidbits of life.
I know, yeah. We're just going to talk
golden nuggets.
I think the Dark Night of the Human is, we've all had those moments where it's been nothing has worked, and we're in, for me, I've been in a dark corner of a room, and I've looked up and said, okay, I can't.
And it's also dropping the mask.
It's dropping the mask.
Let it go.
Yeah.
I felt so much after dropping the mask and just surrendering. Good Lord.
So all that's
hallelujah.
All that's coming up.
We're just jumping. We're just going. We're just riding the wave into the next episode. We'll see you guys back here for the Dark Night of the Human, not the soul. And again, I'm Leah.
And I'm Peyton.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Scene.